Our African Dream. During 2007, Dave and I lived out one of our bigger dreams, 10 years in the planning, to travel the length of the fair continent of Africa. I kept a detailed diary of our trip with all the costs incurred and the GPS points of all the places we visited in the 7 months on the road, as well as our trials and triumphs along the way. Where does a dream begin? Over a glass of wine, around a briar under a baobab tree in the African bush? Well, this dream of ours was born in the African bush in Mozambique on a 4x4 trip in the June of 1997. 2 other couples and us spoke about a trip through Africa, and it was decided, when our kids are finished school, us 3 couples would take a gap year. Dave and I felt that 2007 would be the ideal timing for such a trip, as our youngest daughter, Ray Ann, would be matriculating in 2006. During 2006, we would celebrate Dave's 50th and Carmen Jo, our eldest child's 21st. The year 2007 was a free year with no special family celebrations, and all 3 children would be occupied at uni. March was decided as the departure month, allowing us to submit tax returns, etc., before we left. The start date of the dream was set, March 2007. What seems like a dream for us is not necessarily so for others. In fact, it could even be a nightmare. I suppose either you like off-road camping or you don't. For us, there is something very special about sitting out in the middle of the night, nowhere, with no sounds except nature talking to you, and no lights except the stars above. A gap year at 50? Are you out of your mind? A lot of our friends and family thought and said this to us. Perhaps they were right. I mean, we would have 3 kids at university, and we wanted to leave our home running. We would not be working and earning for the year. Why not wait a few years, you might think. But when is the right time? When you have the money and the time, you may be too old or sickly to do such a trip. It is all too easy to get wrapped up in your day-to-day routine, and before you know it, it's too late. We were well aware that we would have to come back and work again after living our dream. As 2006 became a reality, so did our dream. 3 couples, all with their own businesses, began the serious planning of taking a gap year and driving the length of Africa. Staff and businesses had to be dealt with, financial year ends and the tax man, university applications and leases for flats in Johannesburg for kids studying there, domestic arrangements at home. Is it possible? Can we walk out for a year and leave all our commitments to our eldest daughter, only just 21? We are going to do it. We are going to seize the moment and live out our dreams no matter what. We will not get a second chance. It is now or never. So, if you haven't done what you always dreamt of doing, don't leave it too late. Get on and do it. You only have one life, so make the best of it. We started having meetings at the beginning of 2006, with 1 meeting a month. We decided to cover a country each month. So, each couple was supposed to bring items of interest that they would like to see in the country in question. Some of us were better at this than others. We laid out a route to hook up all the places of interest in each country. But this was only going to be a guideline. What we were looking forward to was not having to be anywhere on any particular day at any specific time. Calendars and watches dictate to us every day of our lives, and we wondered how it was going to be to feel not knowing or caring whether it was Monday or Sunday, 8 a.m. or 2 p.m., just living each day for what it gave and discussing the next day over the campfire at night. The intended route. Our plan was to meet at Pete's place in Zambia on the 20th of March. This would be our effective starting point. After Zambia, we would travel up the western shore of Lake Malawi and into Tanzania, then travel east following the Mozambique border to the coast, continue up the Tanzanian coast with a detour into central Tanzania, across the top of Tanzania and through a corner of Kenya to Lake Victoria. We planned to explore Uganda and then go back into Kenya, up the Kenyan coast and into Ethiopia. From Ethiopia, we would go through the top corner of Sudan and on into Egypt. At this point, the team intended to separate, with two couples turning around and traveling back to South Africa, revisiting places that they had found of interest on the way up. Our intention was to travel through Egypt and follow the Mediterranean coast through Libya and Tunisia, then across into Europe and on to England, where we would either ship our vehicle back to South Africa or sell the vehicle and store it for a further trip at a later date. The vehicle preparation. We purchased our Land Cruiser from a friend in Pietermaritzburg. It was a fully imported vehicle and was not available as a new vehicle in South Africa. It is known as a Troopie in Australia. These Troopies come out standard with dual fuel tanks and air conditioner. Our vehicle was previously owned by Red Cross, and so it was used to transport people, and there were bench seats down each side at the back. Dave removed these bench seats and built a place to secure our National Lunar double-door fridge freezer in the right back corner of the vehicle. Between the driver's seat and the fridge, he built a storage compartment to store the second 105 amp hour battery, recovery equipment, tire pump, and tools. Dave also secured a 65-litre freshwater tank against the side on top of the storage area. On the left side of the vehicle, he removed both the side sliding windows and built a narrow storage compartment accessible from the outside by hatches. The one hatch would be for our day-to-day cooking needs: cutlery, crockery, spices, pots and pans. The other hatch would be shared by both of us for clothing. On the inside, below these hatches, was another long store area, which was to be for the bulk food storage of rice, mealie meal, pasta, flour, tinned foods, etc. Under the vehicle, Dave installed another water tank for non-drinking water. The exhaust system passed through the center of this tank and warmed the water while we traveled. So when we stopped, we could connect the shower rose outside the driver's door and switch on the pump for a lovely hot shower. Up front, we had a CB radio and an inverter for charging all those items that require 220 volts. The vehicle came out with a 5-cylinder, 3.5-litre diesel motor and a 4-speed gearbox. This was a very poorly performing combination, and we would not even be able to maintain 120 kilometers per hour on the flat. So Dave tried to turbo the vehicle, but this was not successful. He then opted to change the engine and gearbox. After a lot of deliberation, he decided on the Toyota 4.5-liter petrol with a carburetor and a 5-speed gearbox. He was delighted with its power and performance, but it was just very thirsty. 22 to 24 liters per 100 kilometers in and around town, although it did drop to about 18 liters per 100 kilometers on the open road. So, with our 285-liter fuel tanks, we could not even get 1,000 kilometers. To increase our range, we took 2 additional jerry cans, and we hoped we'd have enough fuel on board. Dave also installed a second alternator and another 105 amp-hour battery, and the second alternator was for the 2 auxiliary batteries. As for tires, Dave chose to go with split rims and tubes. In hindsight, this was a bad decision, as tubeless is far superior, and we would not have suffered as many punctures as we did. On top, we had a rooftop tent, and on the side we had an easy-on pull-out awning. We had sides, front, and a draft strip for this awning to make it into a cozy little room. Dave also made a table that secured to the side of the vehicle below the side hatches under the awning. Our vehicle was christened Garfield, as he was large and very thirsty. We were good to go.
If you found this video interesting, we would so appreciate a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel,
hi, welcome.
And you can hit subscribe to keep getting videos made about our travels. Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye, till next time.